carbon of the die is positioned. It's somewhat like printing the master. Alignment is again verified, a highly important step which assures the quality of the final product. Finally, they install this large metallic plate, which is the cutting base. It will be on this surface that the master die will strike. Once measurements are finished, the drawer of the die is slid into place. This press cuts the pattern seen on the puzzle. Here's how it works. The sheets, or printed cardboards, go into the drawer one by one, where they are cut according to the master model. We clearly see the press making the cut in the puzzle sheet. The cut sheets pile up on one another, and at this checkpoint, they verify the precision of the cut. They make sure that every piece is correctly shaped. Now they go to the foam support of the puzzle. This guillotine is used to cut the polyethylene sheets onto which they will glue the cut images. Foam sheets are inserted into this laminator, heated to 232 degrees centigrade. The sheet with the design on it is glued onto the foam with a thermosetting adhesive. Now they glue the printed sheet onto the foam sheet. Once the adhesion is finished, the puzzles are stacked on one another, and they proceed to the unbuckling operation. By pulling, they remove the surplus cuttings. The same design is printed several times on a sheet, so they must separate each puzzle. This step is called the reduction of the models. Now the pieces have to be separated. This decorticator handles this task and sends the pieces down a chute. Packing cartons arrive already made up, and the puzzle pieces are placed in their boxes. No less than 15,000 puzzles are produced here each day. Since it began operations, the company has created more than 300 different puzzle models, from quite simple ones to much more complex designs. The largest of them contain a total of 3,146 pieces. And you need real patience for this one. Ever wonder what happens to old used tires? Believe it or not, we now use them to manufacture rubber mats that can cover an entire arena. Now that's great recycling. Used tires are a real source of pollution. This pile represents about 100,000 of them. At any rate, these tires will have a second life. They'll be recycled to make rubber mats. Each day in this factory, they recycle 15,000 tires into mats. Tires have to be reduced to little granules, but first, this conveyor feeds the tires into the washer. Tires are washed with a water-based biodegradable preparation. Then they're sent to the shredder. The shredder has 2 rows of large teeth. These grind up the tires into pieces. This shredder is able to cut up almost 1,000 tires an hour. They come out as fairly good-sized pieces of tires, which are then shredded a second time. Metal is magnetically separated from the rubber, and the metal pieces are recycled at another factory. Other components of the tires, such as fiberglass and nylon, also have to be separated. They use a sifter to get out unwanted rubbish. Recuperated rubber particles purged of foreign materials measure about 2.5 millimeters. Some 16 tons of tire particles are piled up in this recycling depot. But the particles are still too large to be used. They're sent to a secondary shredder's supply tank where they'll be reduced even further. This tractor feeds the secondary shredder. Grinding action produces a kind of rubber powder. The powder is spread out on these enormous molds. This mold has a length of 7 meters and a width of 1.2 meters. Thickness varies according to the product being made. The molds filled with rubber powder are stored in this loading magazine of the press. Once full, the molds are sent to the rubber mat press. Here's the mat press. The powder has to be cooked at a very high temperature for about 30 minutes. Cooking time depends on the product being made. The cooked mat goes through the unmolding unit before being sent off to cool. The rubber mats are still extremely hot. They're cooled with jets of water for a period of several minutes. The cooled mats can now be sent to the next department. This conveyor in the cutting center positions the mat before it's cut. The mat is vibrated to eliminate any surplus water. Each rubber mat is now cut up into 3 pieces. The cut mats are then stacked into a pile and stored before being shipped.